The wayfinding landscape is changing, so welcome to Endpoint's new Wayfinding Xchange Podcast. We want to connect with digital and tech specialists to exchange knowledge of new technologies and wayfinding solutions. We want to shape the future of digital wayfinding through discussion, collaboration, and shared expertise. And this is why we have created this new podcast series. Enjoy the episode.
Okay, so hi everyone, and welcome back to Endpoint's Digital Insights podcast. Today we're delighted to have Eva Cheng join us. Hello, Eva.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
No problem. So Eva is the product marketing manager of Pointr. They're a leading innovation company specialising in indoor location technology.
Yeah.
And much more, I'm sure. You'll explain later. I mean, for the benefit of the listeners, we came across Pointr many years ago working at Harrods. Yeah, that was quite a few years ago now. And you were like the sort of original, I used to call you Blue Dot digital wayfinding company. You're basically like a Google Maps, but for indoor.
Yeah.
And I know even back then, a lot of our clients were like very excited about that. And I think when I saw your original demo, it was like that. Yeah, I was really impressed with what you're trying to do, and I was a little bit worried about the future of my own business. But then, it's safe to say that things have moved on since then, and I know Pointr now operate in sort of 20 odd countries. You've worked on sort of 3,000 locations, so you've obviously grown, as have many digital and technology companies. So I'm really excited to find out a bit more, and I'm sure that the listeners will be excited as well. So let's dive in. Let's start from the top. So tell us about Pointr. What's the mission? What's the elevator pitch?
Yeah, for sure. So just to give you a very, briefly background about Pointr. So we are a tech startup company. We were founded in 2013 by a number of computer scientists, and we are specializing in location technologies, which we call it the deep location platform. We have offices nowadays we have offices in Boston, London, Dubai, and Europe. We also partners across, US, EMEA, and Asia region. So today we're live in, as you were saying, we're live in 27 countries, and we work across multiple verticals, including workplaces, healthcare, retail spaces, and airports as well. So we also work with one of the largest commercial real estate companies and several large US hospitals and retail spaces. So our vision is that any building can benefit from location services provided by Pointr today.
Mm-hmm. And how would you, just for us sort of simpletons, not hugely digitally savvy, what are those sort of key benefits? You can be in any building. What do you think those key benefits are?
Yeah.
The key services, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. So I think is, when you think about it nowadays, like almost every inch of our world has been mapped or navigable by GPS applications. So if you name it like Google Maps, City Mappers, and Waze. But when you navigate to destinations, when you go indoors, and that's it, the navigation just stay outside. So what we are trying to do is that we want to build indoor locations that is accurate enough to guide the visitors when they come into the indoors environment. They would know where to go and where they are going and where to find their things they want to find, basically. So I guess that's one of the key benefits. And also location services, apart from digital wayfinding, it can enable a lot of other things like, nowadays people are talking about digital twins. So you would have a twins that looks exactly like your buildings, but it's on your phone, and you can see everything just on your phone. So that is the other benefits I could think of. And also, for example, in the workplaces, especially during the pandemic, people are starting to think about the hybrid work. And for location services, it can enable, for employees when they come to the office, they can book or they can just search for meeting rooms and desks within the building, and the location service also guide them there. If you're working in a really huge corporate companies, like you have big campus for your office space. So that's all sorts of benefits that location services can provide in this sense.
Cool. Yeah, no, it's massive, really, when you think about it. So what is your biggest, you call it vertical, I'd call it sector. Is it I know our paths crossed at Harrods in retail. Is retail your biggest sector, or has it moved on now to other?
So we started from Harrods is one of our early clients. So we actually started from retail and airports. The other early clients we have is London Gatwick Airport. We were in several airports in US as well, including 2 Washington airports. So I would say currently our biggest sector would be workplace, because once, if you work with one of those really huge commercial real estate company, they just have thousands of buildings all over the world. So once we work with them, we get, this is like lower hanging fruit for us at this moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think there's, have you say you started in retail, and I know, retail's for us, it's always been a very innovative sector. They're always trying the next thing, because it is, or has historically been, about the experience of customers in a physical store, and whether it's lighting, interior design, they're always trying new things. It's always been a very innovative space. It didn't surprise me that they were the first to sort of start tinkering with digital wayfinding. Particularly retail, has that continued? Or our thing, if I'm being really honest, was a lot of the retail experience is about the merchandise and the visual aspects of walking around a shop, that the impulse, the trying to get you to engage with the products. And I always felt if you're sort of locked into a phone, it sort of skews that retail experience a bit. So do you? I guess what I'm trying to ask is, have retailers caught on, or have you innovated? Are there different things now that retailers are looking for other than just pure navigation? And are there certain buildings, environments that are more suited to your digital services than others? Or do you believe outright any building, any sector, we can make a difference?
I guess we can talk about retail sectors. So I think in retail, as you were saying, like customer experiences have become everything for retail to this day. So, and also I heard a lot of people when they talk about digital versus physical, people always assuming it's going to be a battle. But I think, in my point of view, I think it really isn't. It's kind of like, I think the retail spaces nowadays, they're kind of becoming the one, like digital space and physical space coming together. The reason for being that is because a lot of retailers are talking about captured omni-channels consumers these days. So the reason being that is because a lot of customers, their shopping patterns has changed. And people are more used to shopping online because they have limitless catalogs they can just go through, and they can filter out based on features and prices. But people still want to come to the shops. They still want to come to the building because they want to feel the products. They want to try it out. They want to experience everything. So I would more, the more you think about it, it's more like, physical and digital. These two aspects can actually come hand in hand, and they need to be complement each other. And for example, for Harrods, if you go to Harrods, everything is consistent. So from their printed map, from their physical signage, from their mobile apps, all the styles, they're aligned, they're consistent. So to do that, you can create a seamless, more like a seamless experience for their visitors and their shoppers, etc.
I think that it's one of the things we obviously talk about a lot with clients, is that consistency of information. And that may be as simple as colours and typefaces, but actually, I know for Harrods, it's a very complex environment. I think sometimes purposefully wants to try and lock you in and disorientate you so you wander around and spend much more time there. But, actually the consistency of language across the different platforms, be they digital platforms, signage, printed maps, even the verbal instructions that the shop floor sales assistants give. There's a consistent language. That's for us the most important thing. And I know on the Harrods project, one of the big things that we suggested to them was actually to number the rooms, which I know at the time really sort of helped with some of that digital map, because the maps are very small on your screen.
Yeah.
And they have very strange names for the rooms. So for us, the idea more of almost using that sort of art gallery metaphor where you have consistent room numbering, and then you can change the name of it to whatever you want depending on what's the latest fashion. But actually the room's always the same room, and that's consistent on the digital platform, it's consistent on the maps. They don't have to worry, they can just use the numbers, and then they don't actually have to worry about the names so much. But anyway, just getting into some of the more practical questions. So is there, I'm sure lots of your projects are different and there's different environments that you work within, but is there a typical process? Do you have key stages? What does a project typically look like when a client appoints you?
So are we talking about retail sectors?
I'll let you choose.
Okay. It depends. Sometimes we work with our partners.
Mm-hmm.
They just package our services into one of their, the total solutions package, and then sell it to the clients. And that's
okay. So is that like a white label?
Yeah.
This partner sells these digital services to their tenants or their clients, and they just package up your product. Okay.
Yeah.
Would you say that's your biggest sort of area at the moment?
Yeah, definitely.
Could you say what sector that's in?
Oh, that's workplace mostly.
Okay,
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So workplace is currently your biggest sort of sector?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's a sort of, like you said, you've got a partner who's maybe doing the sales. I guess it's quite slick because it's a similar product to lots of different people. Do you get involved in more sort of bespoke projects like at Harrods? It's one shop.
Yeah.
It's pretty damn unique. What would the process be for something like that?
For Harrods, for example, they release a tender.
Yeah.
And then we submit our RFP, and then I think we just work with their team directly. That's most of the case with the retail sectors, because normally in these retail sectors, they are normally quite big, especially in the US.
Yeah.
They have their own team. They have their own ID and technology team, so we can just work with them directly. As in work for, workplace is different, as I was saying. So is
there you're appointed, I guess there's, for your services to work, for that accuracy of where you are on the map, the blue dot moving around, you've got to install, or there needs to be lots of infrastructure, beacons, Wi-Fi. Do you guys get involved in making sure that stuff's there, or do you leave that to third parties or client? So our technology can, is basically hardware agnostic, so we can work with any kind of like sensor you see on the market these days, which include Bluetooth beacons, Wi-Fi access point, and smart lightings. So it depends on the clients if they have existing hardwares, and then we will send our team to review their hardwares to see if it will work with our technology. Most of the time it would, but probably sometimes you need a little bit adjustment and professional reviews about how we're going to use these hardwares. So we are involved, and we partners with beacons companies and sensors companies. And if the clients would need these kind of hardwares, and we will recommend them, these are the companies we work with, and so we just sell the the package to them. Okay. And I read on your website that you're a software as a service.
Yeah.
So it's the way a client pays. It's not a one-off project. It's an ongoing sort of an agreement.
Yeah.
How does that work?
So our software is license-based, and then it's based on how many square footage you have.
Okay.
So the bigger the building is, the cost obviously will be, bigger.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
But do you factor in other things? Because you can have, very large, easy to navigate buildings and very small rabbit warren corridors. But it's just mainly done on square footage.
Yeah, that's how we.
and so for us, a project, and they are projects. We work with clients ongoing, but shop or a office or an airport is often a project. We start with a strategy, we move into sort of design and conceptual look and feel. Strategy is very sort of about defining users, what they want, what they need, sometimes emotional requirements.
Yeah.
We obviously interrogate the space and, where all that sort of space, information, user requirements overlap is, what we define as user-centered wayfinding. And then out of that, it becomes more of a creative process in terms of sign design, map design, other wayfinding features. And then we go, it just becomes a iterative process then until we deliver a set of documentation that goes to tender, and then some contractor builds everything and installs it. I think that's different to your process, or is it?
I think it's quite. It's some part of it is quite similar, but some part of it is obviously is quite different, because obviously for technology is more straightforward. We don't I don't know, like user centers is important to us as well, but it's like if you can have it on your phone all the time, and you normally just like, when our team go to the venue, we're just like, okay, here's a room, how many beacons we need in here for us to be able to create these routes for the wayfinding. Obviously, we have to have a lot of discussions with our clients as well, because every client's different, they have different requirements, they have different design discipline as well. So yeah, some part is similar and some part of it is quite different.
So the strategic bit for us, understanding what users want. In some ways, I guess, I don't put words in your mouth, but if a client's employed you and you've got to the point where you're appointed, they sort of know what tools and services you're offering.
Yeah.
Does a client take everything, or is it usually, we just want maps and a simple app, or we want all the data collection? Is that all extra, or do you offer everything to everyone?
No, so that's a very good question. So sometimes our clients only want wayfinding, but they have their own maps, and then so they just take our wayfinding to put on top of their map. And sometimes they only want map, as you were saying, so they just take map. And we also have geofencing technology, which is you can draw a virtual line areas within the building, and then when the users go into this virtual zone, either you can send the notifications to the users through the app, or you can send an alert to your team. Probably like this person has entered some zones that they shouldn't be. So that's the use cases there. So to answer your questions, they take parts, like they take the bits they want.
And the creative parts of your business, is that in the map design and the screen design, the bits that you touch through the app.
Yeah.
And are most of your services delivered through the phone? Do you do kiosk services or?
Yeah, we do kiosk services as well. So we have two SDK. One is mobile SDK. So SDK is a software development kit, short for that. It's for developers to integrate our technologies into maybe their existing systems or applications. So that's what it's for.
Okay.
So we have a mobile version, we have a web version. So the mobile version will work with any kind of like iOS, Android devices, including, if you're in a warehouse, you probably have one of those handheld devices just to scan the product. It will work with that kind of devices as well.
Okay, cool.
For web, obviously work on website and kiosk, as you were mentioning. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, we have worked in the past with software partners and technology partners, and one of the biggest challenges we found was you can design a brilliant app or piece of software, but getting people to use it, change their behaviours, change the way they work, even the sort of bump in the road to just download an app these days. We must be getting apped out. There must be. I bet there's a really clever word for it, which I don't know. But are those like practical challenges for you guys?
I guess for some sectors it might be, but from what I know for Harrods, they don't really see this as a challenge, because they have a lot of users downloading their apps just for the sex to check the products they have, and then to it's like online shopping app.
Yeah.
So for retail, I would say it's easier. And for airports, if we work with airlines, like they normally have their own apps for them. You can seamless check-in and get on board. So these kind of applications, they have a lot of users as well. But I think like for airports, it could be a challenge sometimes because sometimes I just, wouldn't bother.
Yeah. I mean, you're there for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Why do I need to download the app?
Yeah.
For this airport?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, I guess that's the challenge. Is like our clients need to figure it out themselves, and then I think one of the reasons they want to by tying our services is to make their applications more useful to their users. So for them to be more attractive to download the app, basically.
I mean, we're doing a project at the moment, actually, and basically the digital project started. They didn't want to hand out lanyards. They didn't want a reception desk.
All right.
They don't want to hand out lanyards to visitors.
Okay.
Or staff, or tenants, people who work in the office. So they all do it by an app. So I thought that was really clever because it's like basically if you're a worker in the office or a visitor, you sort of have to download the app. Otherwise, you can't get access to the building. Yeah. So it's the access system to get through the security gates.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, well, wow, that's brilliant because everyone who works there has to download that app. Yeah. Once you've downloaded the app, obviously you can build lots of services on the back of that, notification services, yoga booking sessions and all sorts of great stuff that, building operators are looking to create communities and all that good stuff in high-tech, smart buildings these days. And it's like, to me, I just thought it was a really clever way for them to make sure everyone downloads the app.
Yeah.
So I know if I worked there, it'd be the last thing I wanted to do was download another app. It's like, well, you've got to, or you can't get into the office. Okay, so let's talk about the future.
Okay.
And obviously, standing where we are now.
So I think in the future, so our vision is to digitize any buildings in the world. So that's our vision. And go back to what I'm saying is like physical spaces and digital spaces are really, I think it's going to be really becoming one coming together. And then people would have this kind of like when they're in a physical venues, they can also experience online experiences. Yeah. So I don't know if you heard of this term that people are talking about, phygital spaces. So like physical.
It's another new word. Phygital, yeah.
Yeah, I heard someone talk about it, and I think it's a very interesting concept. Mm-hmm. So I think it's like there's a lot like digital technology can help, especially like when you're in a big physical venues like a campus or workplace campus or a really big airport you don't know where to go, or first like really big shopping malls. Like for example, Harrods is quite complicated to navigate around in there. And also they change their layouts almost every week, so it's really difficult, for you to find the things that you want in there. So I think in terms of that, like location services can really help to create a more seamless visiting experience for most of the visitors coming to the physical venues. Yeah. And I think more and more people more dependent on their mobile devices, and this can really, help people. People are starting to expect, they will want to have, when they're indoors, they will want to have the same service as they're outdoors, for example, using Google Maps, navigate around places, shopping, and these kind of things. And I'd like to share one of, my favorite real world use cases in terms of like how I picture the future of wayfinding it will be. So so this is one of the projects that we've done in Hong Kong. And we do the digital maps for them. We do the digital wayfinding for them for both indoor and outdoor spaces. So it's actually a cultural district, and then it's covering 40 acres. So it's quite a huge space. So when the visitors go to their space, sometimes they get lost, but if they have the apps, or they also have kiosks all over the place, they can just like go to the kiosk and search for where they want to go, or they can just use the app and then to navigate to the venues they want to go. We also have augmented reality wayfinding there, so it's really cute. So it's like you use your phone to scan the venue, and then you can put your phone in front of you, and you can actually see all the like a camera, a see-through camera, but you have augmented reality coins there. So it will show the paths for you to, lead to the place you want to be. And on your way, you can collect your coins, when you finally get there. So that's, a lot of things that, location services can enable. And I would see that would be the future, like physical and digital working together to make that happen, basically.
Yeah. I mean, for us, you can't ignore digital technology. We all carry around phones. It's very reliable. The network's pretty reliable. So, it's a fantastic tool. I still think, for us, I think the future is about trying to almost integrate experiences.
Yeah.
So, if you live in a city, you travel to work, there's loads of services you may employ, from parking to, your sat nav. Knowing where you are and having an idea of where you're going is sort of quite innate, it's quite fundamental. And in a city that can be complex, and there's lots of tools, like you said, Google Maps, City Mapper.
Yeah.
You go to each venue, they've all got a different this and a different that. They've all got, it's all clever, but it's not very connected. It's not very connected up into a seamless thing. So, I think the exciting thing I would think for Pointr is, and you probably do it at the moment, it's like, we always had this argument years ago. There was never enough funding just for a wayfinding app.
No.
There's funding for marketing stuff and stuff that generates revenue.
Yeah.
But obviously, to generate revenue, you've got to connect the customer to that revenue generating product or service. Yeah. You need to do that through wayfinding or maps or getting people to those products, be it digital or physical. So I think, the stuff, the maps that you create and that integration of all that infrastructure and building that into almost other people's tools seamlessly, that sounds like a half decent future to me, because downloading millions of apps I find quite annoying.
Yeah.
Personally, there's apps you have to download and you have to have location services within it. So I think this idea of a platform, being able to integrate your services physically, digitally into your own or your clients' apps, or even into other people's technology, integrating into existing infrastructure and technology. I think it sounds to me from an experience point of view like it'd be a much smoother, integrated, less prone to error experience. Anyway, well, I mean, I've really enjoyed that. So thanks for coming in. Thanks for telling us a bit more about what Pointr do. If anyone wants to get hold of Pointr, it's Pointr.
Yes.
Was it .tech or?
Pointr. Yeah.
Pointr.
Pointr.
Yeah. Very easy to find on the internet, and brilliant product, brilliant technology. Hopefully we can work together again one day.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. Thanks very much.
Oh, thank you for having me. This is a great conversation.
Long may it continue. All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you for listening to our latest Wayfinding Xchange podcast. Stay tuned for further episodes and feel free to contact us with any questions and suggestions for future episodes.